Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Micah Podcast Universe. This is the podcast where me, Micah Micah,
And me, Jordan McCaw.
go through franchises, and we do it one movie at a time, and we look at the overarching series, and we decide what's good, what's bad, all of that jazz. And today, we are in the Wizarding World, the series that shall not be named. We are in our 9th entry in this series.
And today, it's a doozy. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yes, and this is the one where it all crumbles to the ground.
The beginning of the end. But really, not true, because the series ended.
End for a while.
Well,
yeah.
no, the series ended a movie ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we shouldn't give our full opinions right off the bat, but woof on this movie, and I'm not talking about a Fantastic Beast. I'm just saying woof to this one. So let's dive into the production. This movie is directed by David Yates. They brought him back again. He started, if you listen back to this whole series, he started on Order of the Phoenix and kept directing till now. So
the Peter Jackson of this series.
Yeah. And if you think about it, so originally they had announced we're doing Fantastic Beasts, and everyone's like, oh wow, that's cool, more Harry Potter. And then they go, it's gonna be 3 movies. And they're like, wow, that's really cool. And
we'll go through what I went through, but
and then J.K. Rowling was like, actually, it's gonna be 5 movies. Warner Brothers just said, and guess who's directing all 5 of them? David Yates. So by the time this thing is all said and done, he will have directed more movies in this universe than movies not directed by him in this movie series, because he will have directed 9 of them. Insane. Walk me through your thought process, because you are a Harry Potter fanatic.
Yeah. So Harry Potter is over, and it's like great. Loved it. Loved how they wrapped it up. Movies just kept getting better and better, and it ended on one of the best ones. And then not only that, but within definitely the last 2 parts, I was like, these movies look so good.
They
like,
do.
Who is this? And it's like, oh, David Yates. Who's that? Cool. This guy's like really good. Mm-hmm. So then the series ends, and then they announce they're going to do a movie about Newt Scamander. And it's like, oh, interesting. I'm not like against that. That's pretty fascinating. Yeah. So like prequel stuff, but like so far prequel that they won't even mention Harry Potter, like interesting prequel stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like David Yates, and it's like, well, I mean, what could be wrong about that? And then you find out that it's going to be 3 movies. And then it's like, oh, red flag.
Okay, so you had a red flag right at 3.
Yeah, because even with them doing one about Newt, it's just kind of like, fine. And I'm speaking to myself personally, not to how everyone feels. I'm just like, when Harry Potter was over, I was done.
Yeah.
With Harry Potter. And like because it was a complete story, content, the world still left me with like imagination. Like I got to imagine what I want.
Sure.
But now when they announce 3 movies, it's like, oh, I don't get to imagine anything anymore. It's just going to be done for me. And so it's like 3 movies, fine. And then you find out, no, not 3, 5. And then I was like, cool. So J.K. Rowling's a huge sellout. I mean, I kind of thought that with 3, but when it was 5, it was like, oh, brother, man. Seriously, lady? You really need to do 5 of them? And even when the Cursed Child came out, I was just kind of like, I don't care. Like, I don't need it.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Cursed Child, after we're done with this series on April 1st, we're going to be doing a Patreon exclusive episode where Jordan and I are going to be talking about the Cursed Child, our sorting houses, and our Patronuses.
Oh, since that's not April Fool's.
Yeah. And we're going to kind of go through the plot of that. So if you're interested in that, make sure and go to patreon.com/MicahMcCaw and sign up.
Cool.
Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, when that came out too, it was just like, don't really care. Didn't really ask for it.
I remember because you had kind of showed me Harry Potter, and when that play script came out, I was like, oh, are you gonna, be first in line or something like that? And you're like, no, I don't care. I don't even want to know I don't care what it's about.
Because I was just like, I was content that Harry, maybe for me, all I care about in the wizarding world is Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just me. And then for other people, they need to know everything. They want to know everything about the world. That's the great thing about Pottermore, which I did for a while and I enjoyed. But then I did get to a point where I'm like, I'm done with it.
And Pottermore is like the fan site, right?
Yeah, it's like,
and she's on it, right? She like...
Well, like, so like you could read backstories on everyone on that website, which is cool to a degree. Like I remember learning cool things like Professor McGonagall was like a crazy good Quidditch athlete back then. And it's like, that's fun to find little tiny things like that.
It's like Wikipedia.
It's pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, but it's interactive.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Because you're like playing. But yeah, so then they announced 5 movies and it's just like, cool. Now I have a hard time just like being a fan of J.K. Rowling at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it was around that time I found that out that like she came out with her first adult book, A Casual Vacancy. Which I was really excited about that, and I bought that, and it is sitting on our bookshelf half read for the past 6 years or so. I think part of it was just because I wasn't in the right mind frame to read it.
Put the gun down. Put the gun down. You don't have to point it at me.
I think that I wasn't. Yeah, I just think I would rather have read Stephen King because I was probably getting into Stephen King at that point. Yeah. But then again, it was a little boring. Anyway, now I'm just ranting.
Okay, well, I will come back in. So, I do disagree a little bit with your take of her wanting to, like, selling out. I don't know that this is a sellout. I think this is more, and this is not a unique take, but it's more the George Lucas thing. And even I'm trying to think of someone else who's kind of done this too. It's like someone going, oh my gosh, everybody loves me. I'm in this position now. Like, I can tell these stories and I can go even deeper and I can continue this feeling instead of moving on and giving it to the fans.
I think so too. I think that it's like, cool. I have the power, and like the power has been given to me happily by people to explore this world further because it's my creative vision. Cool. But hardly anyone will ever get that in their life. Tim Burton had it since day one. It probably should have been taken away from him more often. But I think that...
By the way, we're big Tim Burton fans. We're not a fan of when he doesn't have restraints.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get to that someday. I don't know how. But what am I saying, though? Part of me kind of wonders, and I know this isn't like a really nice thing to say, but I kind of wonder if Harry Potter was it for her.
Sure. And then it's like, oh, crap.
Not everyone can be J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
And like... because he did that. He like expanded Middle Earth. You can read history books on it. Oh, okay. I see. He created a language. You know, it's like he did everything for it. But you know, he's an exception to everything.
Yeah. I think to a degree she has done that.
And I think so too. Wonderful world building. But I think that it's just exploiting the world at this point. That's how it feels.
And
overindulging.
Yeah. I get wanting to fill in all the details and stuff, but there is something I think this is maybe just a product of where we're at with franchises and stories, where every little thing has to be explained. It's like I
think it's a product of that too.
Yeah, it's like the Solo thing that we've talked about, a movie that I think is fine and it's really fun, but it's like I never wanted to know how he got his last name. Most people don't have a story attributed to that. I don't care.
Or in this movie, Hogwash? What's that? Oh, Hogwarts. It's the best wizarding and witchcraft school of all of the world. Like, no, the one in America is way better. Yeah. And it's like, well, no one's asking for that. And Mike and I think, we had done it previously in this movie. We were just screaming at the TV like, no, no, you don't do that.
And I think, like, what I would want from this universe, which I think you could have done with the Newt Scamander character, is I want, like, a Mad Max type of approach to the rest of Harry Potter, where it's not this bigger thing leading up to the bigger thing, because we already had the event of this universe, which is Harry Potter. I want, like, a movie of Newt, and he's got to find Bigfoot.
Do you mean Mad Max because each movie is pretty self-contained?
Because it's like a serial. It's like they're not really connected, but they are. Yeah. They are the same world, and there's connections. But I would want something like that. I don't want like a series.
No. I wish you could be in the room with all those people at the time you had the idea of they should have done a TV show. And
yes,
not
which
movies.
I want to save that. I think I'm going to do my rant about prequels, and I will do my rant about that pitch in our next episode.
Yeah.
If the movie is as bad as I'm assuming that it is.
Yeah.
Let me get back to the production notes.
Okay.
This is great, though. We're going to finally win the Golden Potty for this award.
For this episode.
So it is once again produced by David Heyman. And this time, J.K. Rowling gets a producing credit, which I think she got in both Deathly Hallows movies. And then Steve Clovis is one of the producers, but not writer. Lionel Wigram, who was an executive producer on all the David Yates Harry Potters. And he was a producer on the new Sherlock movies with
Robert
Downey Jr. Yeah. So this movie is written by...
No one should say newer Sherlock Holmes movies anymore. We all know what people are talking about.
Well, but there's the show and...
Yeah, but you said movies.
Oh, yeah. But there was a Sherlock movie with Ian McKellen like a year or two ago where it was like old Sherlock Holmes.
Do you think anyone knows that that exists?
Nope. Judging by the look on your face, no one does. So then it is written by J.K. Rowling. So this is her first script writing credit.
Yeah.
And should we jump off on that a little bit? Because I have some thoughts about that.
Her writing the script?
Yeah.
What do you have?
Okay, so I think this is part of the overarching problem is she is a novelist, and some novelists can go back and forth.
Gillian Flynn?
Yeah, that's a great example. With Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Just in case the listener,
Yeah.
I know you know, but I think that this movie's so bogged down in like details and building, and I think a better writer would have got her treatment and been like, why are we doing this thing? Let's scrap this part. Or like someone maybe could have had some X's to throw into the script instead of like Joe Rowling, the master of everything. Because that's how everyone talks about it. All the interviews I watch, everyone's like, Joe Rowling, she came up with something else and you guys are going to love it.
I wonder why the Clovis guy couldn't do it or didn't. Or I wonder if they wanted her to be the one who did the script and they also fought for her to only have the only credit.
I think that's what happened.
He was probably a consultant in some ways on the script. I mean,
he wasn't, because
you don't think so?
I think
I don't
she
see
is
how
just,
he couldn't be.
I'm not trying to bash her, but I think she's just like, no, I finally get to write the script. Okay, I'm writing the script, and she's a producer now too. So I think she's like just doing it, and people are like, okay, because especially
once
if
you throw the producer thing on it too.
Yeah, when you see the interviews, everyone's just like, they're just short of like bowing to her. Also, another weird thing is David Yates. He's just so serious in the interviews for these movies. And
like Tom Hardy serious?
In that realm. No, not quite. But, it's just like, in this movie, we really want to dive into this. And the only person having fun is like some of the supporting cast.
And Warwick Davis, who's not even in it.
Yeah, and Eddie Redmayne. He's having fun in the interviews.
Oh, that's good.
But everyone else, like all the producers and stuff are like, we wanted to make sure we honored. They're not like, even in old interviews, they were like, oh, it's Harry Potter. This is fun. And they're laughing. But in this, they're like, this is serious. This whimsical story is serious.
But you know what they could have done too? Like with one, they shouldn't make it a big thing. If they feel they need to do a movie, light adventure, which we have already discussed.
Don't try and outdo Harry Potter.
Also, just do Sorcerer's Stone and Chambers of Secrets. Like the essence of.
Yeah.
Like just make another children's movie.
Yeah.
Because it got mature and it got serious, and that's cool. Like the story went
Jordan, it has to be dark. Don't you know? It has to be a little bit twisted, okay?
So dark that there's a scene that Colin Farrell and Ezra Miller share in an alleyway, and you can't see either of their faces. That kind
but
of
not
dark.
in an artistic way. We put the washed out concrete effect on this movie.
You're not supposed to know what's going on. That's what it conveys. And it's like, I actually just can't see a darn thing on the TV screen.
I hope that we're not turning everybody off, but hopefully these are valuable opinions. And as always, if you disagree with us, that's okay. That's the beauty of movies.
Yep.
And we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And we don't have to convince each other. Okay, so music is by James Newton Howard, who did Disney's Dinosaur, Disney's Treasure Planet,
Oh, Dinosaur. What a good movie.
He's frequent M. Night Shyamalan guy. He did Signs and Split, and I think he did Glass and Unbreakable. I think he's done most all, if not all, of his movies, except maybe his first like 2 before Sixth Sense. And then he also did Batman Begins, and him and Hans Zimmer did Dark Knight. Most people forget that he was involved, and they both composed that movie. And he's doing the Jungle Cruise movie.
Hans Zimmer?
No, this guy, James Newton Howard.
Okay.
Cinematography is by Philippe Rouzelat. He did A River Runs Through It, Remember the Titans, Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton movie, Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
This is the cinematography?
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes, the movies.
Okay.
It's distributed by Warner Brothers and Heyday Pictures. It's produced by Warner Brothers. And the movie comes out November 18th, 2016, just a couple of months after Suicide Squad rocked the world.
Oh, really? It's the same year?
Yeah. This is the height of...
I did not see this in theaters, though. I saw this like over a year after it came out.
Yeah, and this is the height of dark movies, because I think they're starting to get a little better at like, we can have some fun. But yeah, because remember how dour that was. We can't get into that right now. The budget of this movie is 175 to 200 million, somewhere in there. And listener, I really want you to pay attention to this number, because it's going to be very important in our next episode on the crimes of Grindelwald. The movie domestically makes $234,037,515. And worldwide, the movie makes $814 million, $37,575. So that's all of that.
Do you think they underperformed?
No, this is good, especially for a first, because it's a reset kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
it's the next phase, if you will.
Wink, wink. The next movie has a huge drop off, which I have some thoughts about.
Does it have a bigger budget by a lot?
I don't think the budget's that much bigger.
Okay.
It drops a good 200 million. I'll put it that way, which is not super great. And I remember the conversation was like, ooh. So we have some thoughts on that, but we're going to save that for another time. She wrote in 2001, J.K. Rowling wrote a textbook, Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, we have it. We have
really?
Some textbooks over there.
And it was for like a charity. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I know we have Fantastic Beasts. We have 2 other ones.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It might be the Beetle and Bard as well, which is the Deathly Hallows.
Oh.
You should see them. Have you never seen them? It's like really well packaged.
I think I've just never looked,
It's
really.
like felt covers.
Cool.
Not felt.
It's like monsters
but like cloth
inside?
covering. It's so nice. I've never read it.
And I'm almost done, Jordan, and then you can jump in. So it was announced 2013. They filmed it in 2015, and then in 2016 they announced that it's going to be 5, just to keep a timetable. And it was nominated for Best Production Design, and it wins Best Costume Design. It's a pretty standard costume win, I think.
Yeah.
The costumes are good in this movie. I'm not going to deny that.
It's almost like a default win. Like, I wonder what else was up that year. And if it was like, oh, yeah, sure, this one wins.
Yeah. So, take it away.
Okay, so...
Tell us about these actors.
We have Eddie Redmayne, who plays Newt Scamander. He is Marius in Les Mis. He plays Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything. He's Lily. I think he is the titular Danish girl. He's also in Jupiter Ascending. Recently, of last year, The Aeronauts. He has starred in 2 movies with Felicity Jones.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah.
The Aeronauts movie looked unbelievably boring.
Oh, did it? I never saw a trailer or anything.
The place where they did like the audiobook for it and stuff. So it was like a big push.
Right.
And just seeing the movie poster, and it's about, I'm assuming, the guy who made hot air balloons.
Okay.
I'm not very interested in that.
That sounds cool, but...
Yeah, cool to not movie cool. Like, maybe I would listen to the audiobook cool. And he is also in...
That was such a good... You're so right. When you said that, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather listen to a book about it.
The first thing I ever saw Eddie Redmayne in was Pillars of the Earth. He looks kind of
That's based on a book, isn't it?
It's not that... I don't know. Not on IMDb. It's not.
Oh, okay.
Are you thinking of? No, you're thinking of something else. Guess who else is in the show? Tom from Succession, Pillars of the Earth.
Oh, cool.
I just love finding Tom in other things that I've seen, and I didn't know it. Yeah. Everyone watch Succession and feel bad for Tom.
Or else.
Okay, yeah. So that's Eddie Redmayne.
By the way, I love seeing you on your phone right now because I got Jordan for a quote bad birthday gift, because we give each other bad gifts every year in addition to the good gifts. It's a sticker of Scott Aukerman on a hoagie.
No, a banh mi sandwich.
A banh mi sandwich, and it's very funny seeing you just looking at him while you're talking.
Okay, then we have Catherine Waterston, who plays Tina. Did not know that was her name in the movie. She is in Alien Covenant. Boo. Okay. She is also in Inherent Vice. She is in Mid-90s. Is she the mom?
I think maybe.
Yeah, she's totally the mom.
Do we cover Alien at some point? Yeah, we will.
We have to.
That's a good
Unfortunately,
series
we have
cover.
to.
Not a good series, but
she's in Logan Lucky. Don't remember that, but also I've only seen the movie once, and the movie rocked.
That is a good movie.
She's in Steve Jobs. She plays the mother of his child. She plays
okay, so maybe I do like her.
Here's the thing, though. This is what we were talking about. I don't like. Well, I'll speak for myself. She's not a bad actress. I don't think she has it, though.
Yeah.
I'm mostly annoyed by her, but for no reason.
So we talked about this as we were watching, that it feels like when she's delivering lines, and I feel this way about Alien Covenant as well. There's like nothing behind the eyes. There's not that like Bill Murray depression or the I don't know, like the manic craziness of Leo behind his eyes. It just seems like she's acting. It doesn't feel like she's in it.
I feel like she is going to be Jennifer Jason Leigh in 20 years.
Okay.
I'm just seeing I'm just going through her pictures, and it's like, I think there will be, and it still has not happened yet.
Yeah.
She will be in a movie by an incredible director. Of course, she's already been in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Arguably his worst one, and worse, I'm not saying is a bad movie, but when you compare it to all of his movies, it's the lowest one. But she's gonna like do this acting job, whatever the role is, and it's just gonna be like Jennifer Jason Leigh in Hateful Eight.
We're gonna
be like, she gave it her all.
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing that she doesn't do it in all the other movies she's in, but she really gave it her all in this movie.
Yeah.
I think we have yet to see that role.
I don't think our kind of experience with Jennifer Jason Leigh is very typical. I think it's more of a hot take of ours.
Yeah, no, I know, because every time I hear, or it's like announced that she's in a movie, like even my parents are like, "Oh, Jennifer Jason Leigh's in it."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Huh? We knew about her? I didn't know about her until Hateful Eight."
Yeah,
and then she started popping up in everything. Okay, next we have Alison Sudol, who plays Queenie, the sex symbol of the movie. She is in Dan in Real Life, Admission. I think she's a singer because she has a lot of soundtrack credits and performance credits. Mostly that, more than acting. She has a writing credit on The Voice in Denmark.
A writing credit?
Yeah. I think she's a singer before an actress. And then we have Dan Fogler, who plays Jacob Kowalski.
Who is also, might I add, the MVP of the movie. And I wish that everyone had the energy that he had. Because he's fun in this movie, and I like that he's kind of like, there's a little like slapstick kind of fun humor with him. I like when the movie has fun, in short. When it doesn't have fun, I don't like it.
Yeah.
You look very confused. What's going on?
I'm just looking. So he is in Balls of Fury. Apparently he is in the Goldbergs, like in it.
Oh, okay.
Because it says 2013 to 2019, but let's see the picture. He's not in the title picture, but he must be a reoccurring character.
He must be like Cousin Goldberg or something. Or maybe Cousin Silverberg.
He's in We Are the Walking Dead. I'm sorry.
We Are the Walking Dead?
That's the spinoff show.
There's another one?
That's the one with Tom Riddle in it. Oh, also, wait.
Are you talking about Fear the Walking Dead?
Oh, I read the poster. that says We Are the Walking Dead, but it's The Walking Dead.
He's in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, no
Sorry,
way.
I read the poster instead of the thing. He's in it for 2 seasons.
Wow.
That's why he hasn't been around very often, I feel like, within that time frame. Because it's like, I remember seeing Balls of Fury, and I'm like, this guy's hilarious. Where is he? And he's just not in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of TV shows.
Him and Redmayne are my only hopes for Fantastic Beasts after seeing the first movie.
Him more than Redmayne for me. But we'll get into it.
Redmayne is keyed in this movie. He is doing great, I think.
I have some opinions.
Okay.
But opinions that I haven't totally fleshed out. Okay. We have Colin Farrell, who plays Graves. He is in a lot of movies. He is... Oh, I hate it. Oh, he is Irish. He is not Scottish. Okay. I think I always say Scottish, Irish.
Yes.
He's in The Lobster. He's in Bruges. He's in Seven Psychopaths. We should rewatch that movie sometime.
Yeah,
That's
we
a good movie. Dumbo. The Gentleman, an upcoming movie by Guy Ritchie.
It's already out. It's been out
Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Widows.
Oh,
he was so good in
Widows. Good in Widows.
He's in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, a movie that I really want to watch, but I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
True Detective Season 2.
He's in Miami Vice. Can I throw that one out there?
Is that where you got to start? Like
no,
the show?
He's been acting before. No, the movie, Michael Mann movie.
Oh. Okay. Horrible Bosses.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy Heart.
Fantastic in Horrible Bosses. Do you remember him in Horrible Bosses?
Who is he?
He's like a guy that is bald and does like a slicked over hair.
He's
and
the Tom Cruise
he's
of
like,
that comedy.
of Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
He's always snorting cocaine and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's gross.
Yeah, he's gross. Do you see this? Do you ever look at, when you come across this movie poster, Crazy Heart, with Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
Do you always immediately think of Into the Furnace with Christian Bale? Because I always think of that.
I don't, but I see it, And now I'll never unsee it.
I gotta see. Into the Furnace.
Well, because that one, Bale's got the gun and he's pointed down.
They didn't come out in the same year. I just thought like maybe they came out in the same year.
They did or they did?
They did not. 4 years between them. No, we're never going to get through the actors. Okay, that's Colin Farrell.
Who
I'm sticking to it.
Let me say, I think Colin Farrell does a good job in this movie. I don't like what he has to do.
I don't think he has much to do, but when he is on the screen, he does his job well.
Yeah. But I just love him. I liked him in Dumbo, and I did not like Dumbo. He's just always good.
He's hard not to like.
Yeah.
I think it's because he looks like Darren Radcliffe. Just a face you can trust. Okay. Next, we have Ezra Miller, who plays Credence Revival.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah. Okay.
We could just call him CCR from here on out.
Okay. He is in Perks of Being a Wallflower. We need to talk about Kevin. You need to watch. We need to talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin, and you need to watch it.
He's also in Justice League, Batman v Superman. Oh, yeah. He's the Flash, guys.
He's in such a weird position because...
He is. I mean, this is my experience with Ezra Miller. He's in Trainwreck. Oh, gross. Yeah, he's in Trainwreck. He's also in the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh, he's good.
So I feel like this is the trajectory that Ezra Miller's going.
Okay, kick it.
Breakout role, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
So good in that movie. So good.
Yeah. He's great in that movie. And probably the best performance in that movie.
Yeah, I would probably argue that too. And so it's like, cool, who's this guy? Like, he's young. He's got so much mileage ahead of him. And then he's in, okay, wait, let's see. Stanford's Prison Experiment, 2015. It's like a couple years later. Another indie film. Even more indie than that one. And it's like, cool. He's doing more experimental stuff. Like, he might be an experimental guy.
Recommend to the listener that movie.
Yes.
It's really good.
And I should say, even before both of those movies, we need to talk about Kevin, which is probably the biggest indie movie that he did.
And that's the Lynn Ramsey movie, who did the movie, You Were Never Really Here.
Yes.
Okay.
Just double check that. Unbelievably crazy movie.
Is he the titular Kevin?
He is. And people do not watch that movie if you are feeling sad or blue or you're easily going to be freaked out, because it is not for the faint of heart.
So maybe I'll watch it next
year. But it
is
a dang good movie. It is like, I don't think I could watch it anymore. So the couple years ago that I did watch it, I think that was it for me.
Sure. That's kind of how You Were Never Really Here is as well.
Yeah.
Although I would watch that again. But I think
I would watch that again over this one. This one is like crazy disturbing.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm disturbed just thinking about it.
So then he's in Trainwreck, very small role, but it's like, okay, fine, comedy. He's got to go mainstream at some point. And then he becomes the Flash in the DC universe.
Yes.
And even I guess before that, he was in Fantastic Beasts.
Now, are you talking about the DCEU, the DC Comics extended universe?
Yes. So then you're kind of like, oh, buddy.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you. That's how it feels. I hope he can bounce back someday. Because he's also in this Harry Potter movie. Not Harry, he's in this movie that we're talking about today. And it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Buddy. Anyway, we're talking way too long about him.
And it's just weird that they put a famously American band and they personified him as one person in this movie before they were even a band.
I just would suggest you don't try. Am I missing anyone? Carmen Ejogo, who plays Serafina Piqueri. Come on, can people just have normal names every once in a while in this series? I mean, the main character's name is Harry Potter.
Well, Credence is pretty normal. It's not normal, but
Credence
it's like
is a good choice in terms of like culty.
Although the thing that sucks about it is because of Creedence Clearwater Revival, it does sound. Oh wait, they're in America. Never mind. Well, I forgot they were in America. I was gonna say it sounds very American.
She is like the American Minister of Magic.
Okay, yeah.
Selma.
Let's skip her. Let's get into the movie.
It comes at night.
Oh, it comes at night.
Oh,
okay.
She plays in True Detective season 3. That's what I'm recognizing her from.
She's the wife. Oh, okay.
Okay, now I'm done.
Okay. So here is this movie. It opens Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Also, John Voight's in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But I don't.
We'll get to it when we get
Mission
to
Impossible 1. Do we need anything else?
Yeah, that's it. And Super Baby Geniuses or whatever. So movie starts and we hear bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. And I think, okay, I hope you don't lean on this theme because it's not Harry Potter. And they don't. No. They're just trying to be like, remember?
Yeah.
And then you go, okay. And then this really cool theme for Fantastic Beasts that I thought was in an odd tempo, but I think it's just 4/4. But it's kind of the skippy, weird kind of feel, and it's very cool. And I was like, okay, maybe my whole brain is going to be changed. But then immediately we see this guy with blonde hair, and he has a wand, and I think he like shoots down somebody.
No, he like kills like 4 people.
Yeah, and it's like intense. And then it pans away, and I'm like, okay, really? That's how we're starting it? Because I hate that. I hate that so much.
This is phase 2 of this universe. We have to look at it like that because that's how they want us to.
Yeah.
There's a new phase in this universe. And we just got done with the biggest storyline in the universe, Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. You would think that they would just start it off with there's Newt and he's funny and quirky and cute.
That's the thing, because the next scene is Newt being quirky and like getting to America, and I'm like, why isn't this the first scene in the movie?
That is the start of the movie, but it's because they have 5 of them.
Yeah.
They have to set up these things, and you're just, by the end of this movie, you're like, oh, there's 4 more movies that are going to be like setting things up like this to make me feel like I need to care about it as much as Harry Potter.
Yeah, and it's all like, think back to Harry Potter 1. It opens with a child being brought to a home, a lot of mystery, and you're like, oh, this is kind of wild and kind of intense. But it doesn't open with Harry's parents getting murdered.
No.
You know?
The reason it like been there, done, like it's done. That's in the past.
Yeah.
The rest of the series is him dwelling and like processing that.
I'm getting worked up, and you know why? Because I got the Harry Potter bug. So now this feels like a personal attack to me.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's okay. I'm choosing to believe that this doesn't exist. So then axe the intro and just start with Newt.
He gets off the boat.
And I like the mannerisms he's doing. He's got a suitcase. They're paying extra attention to it. And you're like, okay, this is obviously
he's
like
quiet. He is a little suspicious character, but it's like, oh, he's like
a little aloof.
There's Newt. He's just in his head all the time, wondering about creatures. Like, I'd say he plays it pretty well.
I think like him a lot.
The movie committed to that.
Yeah.
it would not be that annoying to me, because it's a little annoying to me because I think I'm struggling this whole time with what am I supposed to be caring about?
Yeah.
This guy who's just like cute and weird. And by cute, I mean like quirky fun, or this amorphous blob that's tearing apart a city. I don't know. Therefore, I'm a little annoyed by what he's doing, even though he's not doing a bad job.
Yeah. I'm into all of his acting choices. I like the way he holds his mouth kind of weird, and he's always kind of
not really making
doing
eye
his own
contact
thing
with people.
Yeah, and it just kind of gets across that you just right away are like, of course, this is the guy who looks after animals and doesn't like to be around people.
Yeah,
it just makes sense, which has always been a thing the Harry Potter series has been good at. You kind of see someone and you're like, okay, I get it, like a Draco or something.
Yeah.
So then,
love his outfit too. Great outfit.
He's got a great outfit. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, the movie they clicked and dragged the Phase 2 concrete, the Phase 2 MCU concrete filter onto this movie. So the whole movie looks washed out and gray, but not in a Order of the Phoenix cool gray. In a this is an ugly looking movie, and it shouldn't be. As
those reviews by David Sims and David
Ehrlich
had, I think both of them touched on this. Hogwarts was not just a place, it was a character.
Do you want me to read? I was planning on reading those.
Yeah, I guess just read them.
Okay. So since we don't have Ebert anymore, I wanted to go to two of my favorite film critics. So this is David Ehrlich of, I think, Variety. And he said, there are all sorts of issues with this movie, which pales in comparison to even the first two Harry Potter films. But rather than grouse about the clumsy knotting of the various plot threads, or how Newt Scamander is a nothing character, or how the Fantastic Beasts are all like the dullest of Digimons, except for the kleptomaniac platypus, I just want to whine about the devastatingly poor use of CG. We've become so concerned about how this stuff looks that we tend not to think about the value of what it does, and its application here is gruesome. This old-timey New York City is a sterile, hollow hellhole of copy and pasted buildings. Every scene feels empty, even when the streets are crowded with life. And is the villain a generic floating CG cloud? Of course the villain is a generic floating CG cloud. There's no sense of tactile physical reality to this movie. There's no physical tactile reality to this movie. That's amazing. Hogwarts felt like a real place. This feels like a half-sketched memory, and that feeling is hardly contained to the visuals. That's devastatingly true. And then David Sims said, who does film critic for The Atlantic, he said, the rest of this movie is a mess, and it presupposes deep knowledge and affection for Potter lore, which is a trick many franchises pull these days, but that doesn't make it any more forgivable. Don't make your enemy a cloud. Don't repeat plot twists from your previous stories. Give your main female character a proper character arc rather than unfolding her backstory in a muddy 30-second flashback. And for crying out loud, why is your color palette for this one pale limestone? And thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
Well,
you know what they should have done too? And I
have 5 ideas for what they should have done. But
another option, and I feel like it is so obvious. Mm-hmm. Why are we having another man be the lead?
Oh my gosh,
Harry's a boy, whatever. But like, why do we have to have another male as a lead for this?
You're so right.
Why couldn't we have a girl? You've done the male, and it was wonderful and great. Let's represent the females. But at the same time, it's kind of good they didn't, because this is not very good, and it would have kind of sucked for girls. Yeah. But
because then it wouldn't have done it did. It would have done well either way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Delete that point.
But yeah,
Micah.
Yeah. Just a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So let's kind of breeze through the plot, because I think we've kind of covered like the things about this movie.
So he is in America. He has come to America with his briefcase. His briefcase is full of creatures. At some point, some of the creatures escape. How is that not going to happen? That is so fun.
Yeah, and
a third of the movie is spent on it, and it's so fun.
Yeah, you just covered what I was. That's the stuff I love about the movie.
Yeah, Niffler is so cool and like beautifully animated.
Yeah,
like the textures all there. Most of the creatures look really good, very fun, very well designed. Most of the animation is very, very well done.
Yeah.
Which is great, because this movie is 5 years old now.
Yeah.
So it still looks really good. Only for that. not the other stuff that we were talking about.
Right.
So we find out early on there's this lady who's like convinced that there are witches. So it's basically a Salem witch trial, and you're kind of like, do I need to hold on to this? I guess not, until we come back to them, and it's like, oh, I guess we do need to hold on to this.
And I want to just express that I hate this storyline. I think it's really underwritten, and it's not the same movie. This is two different movies.
And what sucks is I'm kind of interested in exploring that.
Yeah.
And I think not because they did a good job, but just like presented an idea of like the Salem witch trials. How were wizards and witches affected by it? Yeah. Back then during that time. But then again, I would so much rather that we just be about Newt. Finding his creatures. So and
if you did a serialized thing, you could do Newt, you could do Salem witch trials, you could do, and they don't have to like connect. You don't have to be the Marvel universe.
No,
you don't have to.
No.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then Newt runs into Kowalski, who was at the bank to get a loan. They switch briefcases.
This is all fun stuff.
So at this whole time, Tina, I forget the actress's name, but the weird looking one, Tina, and that's mean. I know that's mean what I just said. I just don't like her costume or haircut in this movie.
Okay. Yeah. Her
like
haircut,
weird. I'm not a fan of like anything that they put her in. And I'm definitely not saying make her look like her sister, because her sister, like no woman in the 20s is wearing what she wears. I'm really getting lost here. Okay. She is following Newt. Suspicion that he is a wizard practicing magic out in the open. So she's following him around.
Oh, that could be a fun thing to explore.
Yeah. So she arrests him, and then Kowalski takes Newt's briefcase back home. Creatures come out. He gets like bitten by something. Mm-hmm. All this to say, we find out Tina used to be an Auror, and now she's not. She's on bad terms with the American ministry. I'm into that, exploring that.
Now let me hop in real quick.
Okay.
This is what David Sims was talking about, though. I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're throwing around the word Aurora. I don't know what that is. Or I still don't even know what the word is. And
They've
I'm like,
said it in Harry Potter.
No, I know. Yeah, but this, like he said, it's like, it's not like slowly introducing you to like, here's the American way it's done. They're just like, oh, you remember everything, right? And they just throw you into it.
Well, what's weird is...
And I think it's poorly written in that way.
Muggles in America are called no-mages, which I hate. And if they're going to change that, how come they're calling Aurors still? Like, how come they're just not making their new vocabulary that's going to make people remember better?
Yeah.
Or just like make it their own, because clearly they want to make it their own. And clearly it is so far missed on every account. So you find...
I'm not saying you have to explain everything.
No, I know. Yeah. So she used to be like a detective, and now she's not. Yeah. I am interested in exploring that.
Yeah.
They only explore it in that 30-second murky pool water scene of why she's not anymore.
I didn't even understand that
I'll
scene.
explain it when we get to it, because I finally understood it this time, but before that I just didn't even care, because it's the second time I've seen this movie.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
So she arrests him, but they don't really respect her, so she can't really do anything about it, I guess. So they go and find Kowalski, and he can't be obliviated just yet because he needs to be healed. So he travels around with them for the rest of the movie.
And you're doing great, by the way, just plowing through the plot. But this whole thing about him not being able to be obliviated makes zero sense. Yeah. In the past, they just do it whenever they want to. She's breaking her rules for the plot's sake.
Yeah.
What would be better is if Newt was just like, I don't believe in obliviation. I don't want you to obliviate him. You have to obliviate me too. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, just do something that like would maybe show us some more of his character, and then not break the rules of her own universe, because they just do that willy-nilly in the previous, not willy-nilly, but you know.
And this whole time, the American wizards are obsessed with keeping their identity hush-hush, because they're so terrified of a war breaking out. If Muggles discover that there are witches and wizards living among them. And that's like why she's obsessed with obliviating people and all this stuff. And it's like, I understand that they chose to set this movie in New York City. I understand that that's difficult.
Yeah, I love this, what you're about to say.
Because in Harry Potter, they set it in the wizarding world.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have to think about it. Of course, there were tiny little instances of that affecting the Muggle world.
Yeah. Like the flying car.
Why
and
couldn't
stuff.
this just be set in the American wizarding world?
Yeah.
And in some capacity.
Why couldn't it be like Newt Scamander goes to Lake Michigan because he heard that there's a Loch Ness type monster there? That's the movie.
Love that so
That's
much.
off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
feel
a
like
better movie.
That has to be set in New York City because it's New York City. And New York City gets everything, and Marvel takes place in New York City, and we just are obsessed with seeing it destroyed.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, I get it with Marvel, and I'm not saying that this is like kudos to them or anything, but it's like comic books, all those heroes were in New York. Okay. You kind of see it past that. But this world has not led up to something like this. The world that J.K. Rowling gave us, that she's taking away from us, is not a world that has these things don't happen. And I know that the plot and stuff that breaks her own universe again is going to allow it for people not to have seen that New York was destroyed. But it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like you said when we were watching it, and what you were just saying is, it's like, oh, cool, we're seeing New York get destroyed again, and not even like, oh, Marvel, you see it and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, they're doing it in Harry Potter now. They're destroying New York. Why?
Yeah.
Because what is the reason that they needed to do it? Because there were no consequences to New York being destroyed.
And then it's like, we're at the end of the movie, but New York City's being destroyed by an amorphous blob. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, dang, the Muggles are going to find out and there's going to be a war. And when the city is basically half destroyed already, the Minister of Magic, she's finally like, oh, we're going to risk exposure. I think they've already risked it by blowing up the first building and continuing to blow up others. And then by the end of the movie, it's like, well, I guess you're out. Like, your secret's out. Like, now you gotta learn to like make it work.
Which,
like,
guess
live
what?
in harmony.
If this took place after Harry Potter, you could just commit to that.
And
it would have actual stakes.
Yeah. And this is an example of a bad Deus Ex Machina by the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because, so like earlier in the movie, he's using this he's like extracting something from this creature.
You're talking about Newt.
Yeah. And he's like, I think it could have certain properties if properly diluted.
A throwaway line that we're supposed to remember.
So throwaway. And then we're at the end of the movie, and he takes that same vial out and gives it to this giant bird thing and is like, make it rain, pretty much. And the thing makes rain, and it obliviates the entire city of New York. The entire city.
And folks, you might be going, Micah, Jordan, I thought part of your process of understanding movies and criticizing them and making this podcast is to show that the details don't always matter, and sometimes you need to have fun with a movie. But the reason we are harping on this is a series that is obsessed with details.
Yeah.
And yes, you can argue plot points all day long. And I'm not trying to be the guy who's like, plot hole, because those kind of conversations suck.
Yeah.
But these are actual complaints because they break her own rules.
Yeah.
Saying, oh man, someone in a horror movie should have not gone in a room, that's a plot hole. That's not a plot hole. People go into rooms.
Yeah.
That doesn't break a rule set up in that world. This is like actual, poorly written, breaking your own rules that you've established, unless this is not supposed to take place in the same world as the 9 other movies happened.
Which
or
we
8
know
other
is not
movies.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to get back on track.
Yes.
So they're rounding up the creatures that he lost.
Yeah.
So
that stuff is fun.
That's a lot of his arc. And I love the part when they go to the Central Park Zoo.
Yeah.
Central Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to Central Park. And there's that rhino thing. Love the animation. They provide expression to this thing.
Very weird looking thing.
Very weird, but very good.
Yeah.
Very good looking. And funny. A very funny sequence when it starts chasing Kowalski.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
And one thing I will say before that scene starts, when the lion shows up in the middle of the street, I was like, I liked that it was a lion. And first of all, we're pretty sure it was a real lion that they rotoscoped in or green screened in or something, because it looked real. And it was cool that it was a lion, because you're like, wait, that's not a beast.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you're like, oh, it's like in the zoo right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I liked that.
And I like the scene just before that when Niffler is like in the jewelry store.
Yeah.
And I just think it's another funny sequence. Newt just like destroying this jewelry store because he has no regard for it and he just wants the Niffler.
Oh yeah.
Very funny.
Everything with
some
the
of
Niffler
the shots are
is
very like effects are very cool in that scene.
Awesome.
Kowalski continues to be very funny in that scene. All that to say, at some point they end up at Tina's house where they meet her sister, and then they're all going to work together to do stuff. And meanwhile, as this is all happening, you find out that Colin Farrell, who works for the ministry, the American ministry, he is like having a covert operation with Ezra Miller that you don't know what is going on.
Flashing back to.
Yeah, keep flashing back to, and it's you piece together like there's some kid that's living among him that he needs to keep an eye out for. It's not good stuff. Whatever. So,
and this isn't like in Sicario how it keeps flashing back to this guy and his son that aren't involved in the movie, and you're kind of like, who are these people? Because that movie is about like the effects of the drug trade, and then at the end when it comes together, you're like, oh, that's really effective. It's really effective. This isn't like that. You're just sitting there like, should I have brought my notebook to the theaters? Because I don't even remember this. And okay, here's something else. We're just jumping all over the place because Jordan and I really hate this movie. At the end, Colin Farrell turns into Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So answer me this question: Why did Colin Farrell have to be? Why couldn't he just be cast as Grindelwald and just be Grindelwald?
Man, I don't know.
Because there's no. I know you could say, well, he couldn't have the same position, but you're making up the story. Why don't you just like make him go bad the next movie or something?
Because you're setting it that like you could set it at any point in time that you want.
Yeah, and it's just a stupid thing at the end of the movie where all of a sudden it's Johnny Depp
he looks so unbelievable. He looks unbelievable and unconvincing. I also thought that was interesting too in terms of costume design. I think because they were living amongst Muggles, like, and they were integrated into like Muggle society, which is just human society. Mm-hmm. They all wore time period outfits. And what's interesting in Harry Potter, they don't. Kids wear contemporary outfits. There's that. Mm-hmm. But like most of the professors wear like cool outfits that have nothing to do with it being set in the early 2000s. And it's very cool. And I would say you'd probably, if I went back, which I'm not going to, but if you look at some of the ministry people, maybe some of them wear certain outfits, but I don't even think so. And
no, there's just the people at the end who wear the bowler hats.
Yeah.
Or the toupees. Or
why can't they? No, it's the hats. And I think you should leave. Or those hats he's trying to sell.
The meatballs.
Yeah, like the mafia hats. Yeah, whatever those hats are called.
So we're watching that right after we press stop on this.
It's just like they couldn't have given a little bit of flair and quirk at all.
Now this might be bad. I might mark this to make sure I'm not saying anything bad. But do you think there's a little bit of J.K. Rowling that just hates America? Because that's sort of, and I'm not really a patriot myself, but I feel like there's a little bit of animosity, like
I don't think it's
Americans in this movie.
Perhaps there's a chance. Yeah. I don't think this is her fault, but if you want to entertain the thought, I think she's a British person who doesn't live in America. So like this is what American culture might be to her.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the 20s. It's different. And of course, there are other people working in that department of the movie to create the setting to look like the 20s in terms of outfits and all that stuff. But also, it looks like they never went back and looked at what the people did in the last movies.
Yeah.
For fun, like for the fun costume stuff that like makes a character absolutely unique to itself.
Yeah.
No one feels unique. I feel like Colin Farrell's outfit is probably the coolest.
No, Newt's is the coolest.
No, Newt's is cool, but
Americans.
Like Colin Farrell is like his outfit is kind of what we're talking about. It's like a little weird.
Yeah, I like his outfit.
Not 20s, not super 20s style, but with like a tinge of it.
Yeah.
I think that Newt's outfit's just timeless.
Yeah, it's very
he could
cool.
wear that any time, and I think it's okay.
And I'll say this, as far as like the time of the movie, I don't know why they chose to give Colin Farrell and Johnny Depp a current like rock band haircut.
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
makes no sense to me because that was not popular until like 5 years ago. And then it had the nail in the coffin when Jeremy Renner had it in Endgame. And I don't think anyone has that haircut anymore. So
maybe that's their one quirky, funny, fun time thing.
it's just crazy to me that it's like, oh, so I'm going to have to watch 5 movies of Grindelwald with rock star hair? And I think, was Johnny Depp there? And he's like, hey, I want to like kind of cross promote my band, Hollywood Undead or whatever they're called, Hollywood Vampires. So I want to wear this or something. I don't know.
Let's just skip that and go straight to the number one scene in the movie that should not be in the movie. And it's when they go to that underground bar meet with the goblin.
So there's one major problem with this scene. It's the biggest problem, besides the fact that it doesn't make any sense, which I think you're about to cover. Warwick Davis isn't in the scene. Now take over.
Yeah. So for the past whole Harry Potter series, there have been like dozens of goblins in certain movies, and they all look amazing. Amazing. And so we get to this movie, we get to this scene. I forget the guy's name. I don't even care. But they go under, they start
It's
walking.
Al Capone, the goblin.
Sure. They start walking down the stairs, and there is a sexy house elf singing.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, oh, did I ever ask for that? You turn to your friend like, did we ask for this? And your friend's like, I didn't ask for this. Did you ask for this? And you go, no, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
And it's so odd, and it's so I like sort of just offended by it because it's just so out of place and so weird. And why does it have why?
Yeah.
So then they go to,
and she's singing the like swanky swank swank. Oh, beep ba doop ba bow.
yeah, exactly. So then we go. They meet with the goblin, and you're like, oh crap, it's CGI. It is not Warwick Davis or any other little person in wonderful costume.
Why did you not cast Warwick Davis? He's not in this movie. There is a documentary I watched, which I actually hadn't mentioned on the pod. You did, but I haven't yet. That Warwick Davis like goes around the set of Fantastic Beasts. And he's getting up there on like one of my favorite actors because he is just genuinely, he's like, oh, what are you guys doing here? Oh, in the old Harry Potter movie, we did this. That's cool that you're doing that. No, now, oh man, you got your own wand. That's amazing. He's just so full of life. I love Warwick Davis. Why was he not cast in this movie? Why was he not that guy?
So it's just the CGI dude, and
it was like, hey, what are you doing in New York?
Yeah,
huh?
There are no words to express it. And you're also just sitting there like, what are they here for? Because we're 3/4 of the way through this movie. And
this movie's so long. You could shave off 45 minutes
and you're
easy.
like, what are they doing now? And why? They need to extract information that they actually didn't need to extract from anyone.
Yeah, I believe they ask him, they're like, hey, do you have any word about this, like, this kid who's like Obliviate, or...
The Obscura.
The Obscura, which I don't even think it's called Obscura.
Obscural,
which is a made-up thing that I'm not very interested in. Well, that's all made up. It's that's not a good criticism. But so they're like, hey, have you heard anything? And he's like, oh yeah, there's like New York's being destroyed right now.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, or no, there was like there was something that happened earlier, and there's literally a shot of it in newspapers, and they go, and he gives him his bow truckle.
Yeah.
Like his beast friend to the guy in exchange for information on a newspaper, and they're like, okay, cool, thanks. What? Cut the scene. Cut the scene.
Cut the scene. If you really felt like you needed to put a goblin in this movie, just wait for the next one.
Or
if you really felt like you needed to.
If you need to do a useless scene, at least let us have fun while we're there and hire Warwick Davis. And if Warwick Davis is not in Grindelwald, you can bet that there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
I'm coming straight to Hollywood.
Yeah. So terrible. So let's just go to...
Can we just... I mean,
well, I'm just going to explain the obscure thing. So basically... Eddie, so all of the four pals, they all get arrested, and Tina and Newt are going. I don't really understand what they're doing. My guess is they're gonna take away their magical powers. Mm-hmm. Was that what they were doing? Because they never it's kind of like they said the auror word, and you're just like, yeah.
They were trapping them in their like a prison of their best memory, I think.
Oh. It was so confusing because it's like, hey, do you remember that there's no book on this? So I actually don't know what this is. So they go to the...
You're so right.
They go to this room and they're showing Tina's memories, I guess. And this is when you learn that the reason why she's not an auror anymore is because she had been investigating the Salem witch lady and suspected that she'd been abusing the children. And so she goes to try to save Credence, and she gets in trouble for it. Still kind of unclear about that.
What?
Who can discern that from the muddy water?
Yeah, you need some clear water in
this
movie.
Because she barely mentions it.
A Credence Clearwater revival.
Yeah.
Also, why do they need to know each other? That doesn't make sense either.
No. It's so convoluted.
Credence shouldn't be in this movie, and neither should Grindelwald.
No.
And neither should that whole storyline.
No. So the reason why Newt's in trouble too is because he has an obscural in his briefcase that he got from a kid in Africa.
Yeah. Sudan.
That's basically his connection to this whole thing.
What would be cool is if he didn't have it and we didn't have to worry about this thing that I don't like.
But he does, and we're here. So we know that there is an obscural in New York. That's what's terrorizing New York. They escape. Shocker. We find out that Credence is the obscural. Shocker. And an obscural is someone who is trying so hard to suppress their magic abilities that they can't control. It becomes this dark force. They literally use the words dark force. And that is how this is tied into Star Wars. Okay. But
okay. Oh, no. Go. What do you got?
There was something else I was going to say.
Okay.
Oh, I think that that's again them being obsessed with this we exist and we cohabit with Muggles.
Yeah.
Therefore, we need to try really hard for them not to know that we're wizards and witches. And at some point, people just had to suppress it so much that this dark force happened.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
Maybe figure out a way to make it work with them. Or leave. Or dominate them. And I'm not saying I'm agreeing with any of those things. But those are your three options. Instead of doing the one thing that just doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't agree with you because that's what Harry Potter is. They're all living amongst everybody.
Yeah, they are. But I'm saying this movie is obsessed with figuring it out. They're obsessed with keeping it hush hush. Harry Potter, it's this is a thing and we're fine with it. This is a part of our daily life.
Okay,
that's how it feels. Sure. But I feel in this movie with American wizards and witches are just so obsessed with keeping it on the hush hush.
Yeah. Okay.
When in Harry Potter that was never of course, like I said, there are certain moments and certain stories where it was Muggles saw you and that's terrible.
Yeah.
But that was not what the movie was about.
I think if it was done better, I would love it. I think.
Yeah. It's just so convoluted.
Okay. So here's my 3 points that I haven't covered. 1. The Americans, in the previous movie, it's a murderer's row of great British actors. I don't understand why this movie isn't a murderer's row of great American actors.
Yeah.
That's a complaint I have.
All you can get is Jon Voight.
Yeah.
Which is another storyline in that movie.
Yeah. 2, there are CGI raindrops on Dan Fogler at the end when they obliviate him. Or when the raindrops obliviate him.
He just can't.
And then 3, here is my fix for the movie. Okay? Fantastic Beasts 1. It's Newt Scamander. He gets up with Dan Fogler, and they have escapades, and he's looking for a specific animal that's specifically in America. Or he's just going to take that eagle to Arizona, and he's encountering stuff, and it's kind of hijinks ensue, but it's, unlike this movie, charming. then at the end of the movie, they're like, dude, we got to obliviate you. And
go ahead. Just go ahead.
And it's like, okay, all right, fine. This sucks. I was involved, but it sucks. They obliviate him. Then he opens his bakery, which they did do in this movie, but I think that it should have ended with the same kind of bakery scene, axe the girl, because that whole thing is very annoying. And then the next movie is all about him, like, kind of having these visions and stuff like that. And then he goes and like finds Newt and like becomes maybe the first like non-magical magic person. And that is my fix for this movie. And when I think about it, it kind of makes me smile because guess what? It would be charming instead of dark and twisted.
You know, it'd be interesting too if Fogler was a child.
I like it all.
Well, I just like if you go on the like fun hijinks thing, like what if? And this is just another idea. It's not like I think it should be this way. But he comes to America for whatever those various fun reasons are. Runs into this kid who is a wizard, but muggle-born wizard. So he doesn't come from a magical family. And he runs into Newt, and Newt is like teaching him.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
You would have to rewrite a lot of other things about it.
Oh, yeah.
But go on these fun escapades as like his apprentice.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I think it's believable because we're in a different country, different continent.
But I think if you want to introduce something new to the universe, you could do like a Luke Skywalker thing before you find out that he's like before the midichlorian stuff, where it's like, here's this person who doesn't have magic and he learns it and becomes magical, but he's not of any lineage. That could be a fun and like very inspiring story if that's like the trilogy, for example.
You know what's interesting too is I just find it that one part in the movie when she was like, do you know anything about American wizards? And he's like, I know a couple things, this, and I think that he's like, I know that you guys do not marry I know you guys don't marry muggles, which I think is barbaric. So their wizard culture is like pure blood. It's like, and part of it I understand is their intent is to just keep it safe. Like in terms of like, I don't think it's a pure blood reason, but I think it's so that we can keep these worlds separate. And I think it's a little intense.
Or dig into that more. Make that like because if you add that to the story of someone who's non-magic learning magic, there's so much cool stuff there.
Yeah.
But instead we get like a story that's 1/5 of a story, and it's not good.
What is his wand made out of?
I don't know what it's made out of, but there's no animal products in it, is the whole thing.
You sounded like there was a lot more to that.
I didn't really care to learn past that.
So you told me that at the beginning of the movie, and then in your mind you're like, let's see if this is worth looking it up more after.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm done.
I think we really covered it. And
very disjointed episode, though.
I think this is one of our best.
No, but I just mean not very linear in terms of covering the story.
I think, Jordan, this was your best episode. I especially liked what you brought to the conversation. I love you very much.
Okay.
So get your episodes early. Go to Patreon. Get the Cursed Child episode when it comes out. Go to patreon.com/Micah McCaw. Folks, my album is out. It came out last Friday. Imbalances. Woo! Please give it a listen. It would mean the world to me. Let me know what you thought. Just message me because I would love to hear what you thought of it. Just a favorite track, or don't tell me if you hated it, though, because I don't think I could handle that right now. But give it a listen, and if you plan on buying it, just sign up for the Patreon because it'll be cheaper, and I'll send you a download to the album, and you'll get a bunch of extra stuff. And you can cancel anytime.
And I think sometimes people are intimidated by looking at Patreon and thinking it's a subscription, and they have to be signed up for it for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a season, that's fine with me.
Yeah, so just know if you go on there, if you just want the album, you just want to support him by buying it, just sign up for that month.
Yeah.
And then maybe what will keep you sticking around is seeing all the cool other stuff you can get.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. If not, you can always buy it on other stuff. I know people don't buy albums anymore, but streaming it does help. It doesn't pay for anything, but it does help. So thank you for listening. This was a fun episode. I think when we have the bad movies that we don't like, sometimes they're better episodes because we have so much to say.
And that means, I hope that means next episode's going to be really good.
I think we might be too exhausted.
I think so too.
Because I can't imagine watching a 2.5 hour movie with.
It's 2.5 hours?
Well, no, it's 2 hours and 17 minutes. I can't imagine watching that with Johnny Depp in his current state in his career and enjoying it. I just can't imagine those two things lining up.
Okay, let's get this over with. Now
All
that
right.
I know that.
Thanks for listening. Make sure and subscribe and leave a comment. That would be awesome too.
Please.
Bye.
Thanks.